Hello my viewers and welcome back to my channel. Now in this video we explore the intense reactions to controversial comments by Ann Coulter and Mike Crispy regarding Tim Walz's emotional moment with his son. Now after a heartfelt speech by Governor Tim Walz, his 17-year-old son was seen breaking down in tears, a display of genuine emotion that struck a chord with many. However, Coulter and Crispy took to social media to mock the young man, with Coulter posting a disparaging caption on TikTok and Crispy criticizing the display of vulnerability while comparing it unfavorably to Baron Trump's stoicism. Now, the harsh responses have sparked a significant backlash, with voices across the spectrum condemning the insensitivity and double standards involved. So join me as we take a look into the debate over respect, emotional expression, and the broader implications of these social media attacks on a teenager. Let's take a look at these videos. I will be right back, and when I get back, I share more on this.
And I can remember praying each night for a phone call, the pit in your stomach when the phone had rang, and the absolute agony when we heard the treatments hadn't worked. It took Gwen and I years, but we had access to fertility treatments. And when our daughter was born, we named her Hope. Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you. I'm letting you in on how we started a family.
Hey, really quick, as I'm riding to the store, Ann Coulter is a troll. Ann Coulter looks like someone thought of a White Walker and drew them from memory. Ann Coulter looks like if Gollum and Pearl had a baby. Ann Coulter is a walking ad for pro-choice. Ann Coulter's built like a mistake. That woman has never met a controversy she didn't want to deep throat. Do you know what I'm saying? So do not give her the air or the leverage. Do not fall into the trap of Ann Coulter. Ann Coulter saying shit about Gus Walz is the only way she can stay relevant. No one thinks about her anymore. If you want to do something for Ann Coulter, send her moisturizer and sunscreen recommendations, because that's what she needs to focus on right now. She cannot help but being the worst kind of woman, period. She's not great. Do you know what I mean? Do not give her the air she so desperately wants. Okay? All right.
Of course. It had to be her. This demon marauding around in a skin suit, Ann Coulter. Like, of course it was her. While the rest of us watched as this young man, Gus Walz, absolutely gushed and was beaming with pride and respect and admiration for his father, Tim Walz, while he gave such a moving and uplifting and heartfelt and personal speech, those of us with actual human beating hearts inside of our chests were moved to tears watching this young man, while he clapped and nodded and cried and said, "That's my dad." And while the nation's heart swelled with love for this family, this twat thought it was weird. I mean, I guess I could see why she would think it was weird and why it's such a foreign concept that somebody that loves you would be overcome and overwhelmed with, heartfelt emotion to the point where they're moved to tears. And it's probably because she's never had anybody be that proud of her. I mean, shit, Ann, okay, we get it. You don't know what human emotion and love feels like. But leave the rest of us alone, and especially leave this kid alone. Because overnight, this kid has become everybody's son, cousin, nephew, brother. So you just go ahead and leave him alone. And Ann Coulter, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't have any kids. So doesn't that make her one of those childless cat ladies that J.D. Vance was talking about?
So conservative MAGA supporter Ann Coulter here. This is so embarrassing. I'm not sure if this is Ann, but let me find another picture. Hold on. Okay, I think they're the same person, just a different lighting. But anyway, Ann Coulter here thought it was a good idea to take to her X account and mock Tim Walz's neurodivergent son, Gus, for crying at the Democratic National Convention. Here's her tweet. Talk about weird. Mocking a 17-year-old who is neurodivergent and crying because his father is on stage. Let me show you.
I'm letting you in on how we...
Now, Ann Coulter has deleted said tweet since she got to the find out phase for her fucking around. And you could pause this and read this response here, because I don't think that Ann Coulter realizes she's one of the childless cat ladies that JD Vance was talking about. Y'all got the right one now.
I'm going to borrow your attention for a second because I need you to listen to this. We have two different scenarios I'm going to paint you right now. The first scenario, scenario A, we have a young 17-year-old boy standing in an audience filled with people that are energized by his father's words, making history, standing up there, energizing an entire political party. And he is overwhelmed with emotions and pride, and he starts to weep in front of the world. That's scenario A. Now let's take a look at scenario B. We have a full grown ass man in scenario B that is watching the young 17-year-old boy becoming emotional out of pride for his father in scenario A, and decides to go on the internet and call the 17-year-old boy, not a man, not an adult, but a 17-year-old boy, a stupid, puffy beta male. Now, I may be mistaken, and that's why I wanted your attention, because I'm taking a poll here. Which of these two scenarios more accurately describes a stupid, puffy beta male? I don't know. I just kind of wanted to take a poll because one of these people seems a little bit more insecure and weak than the other.
So I'm autistic, I have ADHD, and I have some reading and comprehension learning disabilities. Watching Gus Walls yesterday, being in the room, watching it happen live, I don't want to be dramatic, but it healed some childhood trauma in me that I didn't know needed healed. I felt a lot of feelings as a kid. I had a lot of big emotions, and whether it was happy or sad or worried or frustrated or angry, it would usually come across in like big weeping tears, just huge amounts of crying. There were a lot of times where teachers or family or friends would get frustrated with this and they would tell me to stop crying. Seeing Gus be so proud of his dad that he is overcome with emotion, rather than like reprimanding him or telling me he's being too much, all of those around him are encouraging him to feel these big emotions. I'm telling you right now, this right here is something that all kids need. I was conditioned to be less emotional, to feel less, and now I work really hard in therapy, really hard to just be able to identify what emotion I'm feeling and to give myself permission to feel that. We need more people like Tim Walls and the entire Walls family. We need those who are like uplifting of people and children of any and all kinds of different abilities. We need much more of this and less of this.
Ma'am, this kid just got about 90 million older siblings. You sure you want to do that? I mean, I don't expect a whole lot better from Ann Coulter. I don't expect it all better from Ann Coulter, and I'm not surprised at all. She was the first one to come out with this. But this is not okay, and we should no longer brush this off or accept this. This is unacceptable.
I am literally about to go the fuck off, okay? I want y'all to understand I'm about to go the fuck off. So for all of you people that like to tell me I'm being misogynistic to these evil-ass right-wingers, my suggestion to you, I would avoid this video like the plague. Fuck this. You see this old up here? Fuck that bitch. Fuck Ann Coulter. Ann Coulter. The dried up hag. Fuck that bitch. What you see up here is Gus Walls. Tim Walls' 17-year-old autistic son. What you see on his face is tears of joy. This is the moment where, during Governor Walls' speech last night, Gus decided to get up and say, "That's my dad." Do you see how happy that kid is? Do you see how happy that child is? And this was right after Tim Walls talked about his daughter Hope and his son Gus, who he is absolutely proud of and who he loves with everything in him. In other words, he's a family man. Family fucking values. But leave it to this dried up ass witch here, right here, to talk about weird. So if you think I should spare her feelings because she's a woman, this is not the video for you. Because I am the father of 3 autistic children. And it would be the honor of my life to be standing on a stage and have one of my kids say, "That's my dad." That's my dad. So I'm about to clean this hoe up. I I have given you the process on how you create Ann Coulter. But for those of you who didn't hear it the first time, let me go ahead and say it again. You take a Tommy Lahren and then you put it in an incubator. When it grows up, it becomes a Megyn Kelly. Now, if you put that Megyn Kelly after it dies into the ground, in 5 years, when it comes back up again, it's an Ann Coulter. Now, if you manage to exercise that right back into the ground and give it 495 more years, when it comes back up, it's a Kellyanne Conway. But this bitch has the gall to call it weird that a son is proud of his dad. She thinks it's perfectly okay to call an autistic boy who is proud of his father, who just so happens to be the vice presidential nominee for the Democratic Party for vice president of the United States, who is cheering and crying because his dad is on stage telling everyone how much he loves his kids. This dried up, unexercised bitch has the mucking gall to call that weird. No, Ann, you're weird. Your spindly weird fingers. The fact that you have how the fuck do you have a throat like a turkey and sound like you eat Marlboro, smoking them. You smoke them and eat them at the same fucking time.
And if you come for Gus, you gonna have to see me. If you come for Gus, you gonna have to see me. I said if you're gonna come for Gus, you gonna have to see me. Because I am still reveling in this beautiful display of affection that a son has for his father, which suggests how much affection and pouring and love there is that the father has for the son. And in a time when the red pill community, me man, me right movement is so high, we will not allow you to come and tear down and denigrate what genuine love and affection looks like. You know, the actual emotions that men themselves carry as well. The emotions that we too can display as well. If you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. Because what I want to see is more of this. I want to see more affection between the father and his son, between the father and his daughter, between a man and his brother, between the daddy and the great grandfather. I want to see more. I want to see more men standing in their power, doing the things they need to do, improving the community, going to work, providing for the family, being a safety and a sounding board for the family, while also being vulnerable enough to know that he can't do it alone and he needs the family to support him and help him and love him and cry on him and push him up and lean on him and push him to go forward and also tell him when to sit down. All of it! I want to see all of it. All of it. So let me say this before I skedaddle. If you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me.
Now, just like we have seen from the videos, right-wing commentator Ann Coulter has been blasted over an ex-post mocking Tim Walz's disabled son at the Democratic National Convention. Now, she shared an image of Gus, 17, overcome with emotion as his VP candidate father took to the stage in Chicago Wednesday and captioned it, "Talk about weird." But Coulter was quickly informed that Gus has a nonverbal learning disorder, attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and an anxiety disorder. "I'm sure someone having human emotions would be weird for you," read one online critique. "If you are attacking or making fun of Tim Walz's neurodivergent son for his reaction and love for his father, you are a terrible human being," stated another. "Being moved to tears by pride in someone you love is the coolest and most normal thing there is. Also, he's 17 years old. You're just something else. I'll tell you to go to hell, but you're already there," someone wrote. Now, Gus has a nonverbal learning disorder, the Walzes told People magazine earlier this month. "When our youngest Gus was growing up, it became increasingly clear that he was different from his classmates." The couple told People, "Gus preferred video games and spending more time by himself. When he was becoming a teenager, we learned that Gus has a nonverbal learning disorder in addition to an anxiety disorder and ADHD conditions that millions of Americans also have." Now, the heartwarming side of Tim Walz's 17-year-old son Gus weeping with pride during his father's vice presidential nomination speech quickly became a memorable moment of the convention. However, the positive sentiment took a turn on social media when conservative commentator Ann Coulter posted about his emotional reaction on X, captioning it "Talk About Weird." Now, the backlash was immediate and fierce. Now, critics including Obama staffer Tommy Vita responded with scathing remarks. "I can't see why a child loving their parent would feel foreign to you," Vita posted. Now, many have highlighted the cruelty of Coulter's jab, especially since Gus's parents have publicly shared that he has a nonverbal learning disorder, ADHD, and anxiety. "I am neurodivergent. When I was 14, I was diagnosed with ADHD, OCD, and several learning disorders. We're not weird, we are wonderful, and we're your family, friends, and fellow Americans," wrote activist and Moms Demand founder Shannon Watts on X. Of course, MAGA is making fun of a special needs child showing love for his father. "There's no bottom," wrote the X account Republicans Against Trump, in response to Coulter and others mocking Gus on the internet. "Who thinks Ann Coulter owes Gus was an apology?" another X user posted with the raised hand emoji. Others called her post vile and soulless. It was eventually deleted. Now, while the governor was giving his acceptance speech, video cut away to the Walls family sitting in the first row on the floor of the convention, including Gus next to his mom, Gwen, and 23-year-old sister, Hope. During his speech, when the Democratic vice presidential nominee spoke about his family, Hope made the heart symbol and mouthed, "Love you." "That's my dad," Gus 17 shouted as he stood up and proudly pointed at his dad on the convention stage while the crowd cheered. The emotional family moment went viral across social media. Now, after Walls wrapped his remarks, his family joined him on stage to celebrate. Gus could be seen giving his dad a bear hug while the crowd went wild in the arena. Now, Tim 60 and Gwen Walls 58 have been public about their struggle with fertility and how they use fertility treatments to conceive their 2 children. Walls referenced that time in his remarks. Now, this is personal for Gwen and I. If you have never experienced the hell that is infertility, I guarantee you know somebody who has, he said. "I remember praying each night for a phone call and the in your stomach when the phone would ring and the absolute agony when we heard treatments didn't work. It took us years, but we had access to fertility treatments. When our daughter was born, we named her Hope." Now, the mockery of Tim Was' Son by Ann Coulter and Mike Crispy reveals a troubling lack of empathy and understanding, especially given the context of the young man's personal struggles. Gus, who has a nonverbal learning disorder, ADHD, and anxiety, was visibly emotional during his father's speech, a moment of genuine vulnerability. Now, Coulter's and Crispy's derogatory comments about his tears and their attempts to belittle him are not only insensitive but also harmful. Mocking a teenager who is openly dealing with mental health challenges and developmental disorders crosses a significant line. It disregards the complexities of his situation and the courage it takes for someone with these challenges to publicly express their emotions. Their comments perpetuate a harmful stigma around mental health and emotional expression, reducing a deeply personal and vulnerable moment to a target for cheap political points. Now, such reactions undermine the importance of compassion and respect, especially for individuals facing mental health and developmental difficulties. Now, this incident underscores the need for greater empathy and a more nuanced understanding of the struggles that many people face. It's a stark reminder that beyond political differences, humanity should guide our interactions and judgments. We have finally come to the end of the video, but what do my viewers also have to say about this? Share your thoughts in the comment section and let's have a conversation there. Thank you for always watching and see you in my next video as I bring you another interesting video.